Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me for another episode of Digital Soul Presents. I am honored to have this young lady on today who is a living legend and from a legendary band, also a successful solo artist, the queen of funk, percussionist, and queen of the funk box from Grand Central Station herself. Choc'let's in the house. Miss Choc'let, how you doing today?
I'm good. It's very good to be here. How are you doing?
I am doing excellent. I thank you so much for being here and taking time out to talk with me for a little bit.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. How's everything going with you?
So far so good. I really don't have any complaints.
I heard that.
I'm ready for it to stop being hot here in California, though. I'm ready for it to, be fall. But
right.
Yeah, it's all good. Everything's all good.
Yeah. Well, we're close to fall, so it's around the corner, so it's coming.
That's what they say.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Choc'let, I've had the honor of talking to you before. Know a little bit about your history. So I'm honored to be able to sit down and chat about what you've been doing and where you've been and so forth. I know that you hail from the South, town called Tyler, Texas. Talk a little bit about coming from Tyler.
I left when I was very young, but that's where my family was rooted on my mother's side of the family. Just everybody came from Texas. So, just humble roots. My grandfather was a farmer. My grandmother was a housekeeper with 12 kids. So eventually all her kids left home to go to the big city. You know what I'm saying? So they could see what they could do, make out of their lives. And my mother, she was one of them. So she came here to Los Angeles following some of her siblings. And so I was small, about 4 or 5 at that point. So I was basically raised I went to, elementary, middle, and high school in Los Angeles. So I was basically raised in Los Angeles, but love my roots, love being a country girl. You could take the girl out of the country. Okay?
Right.
So, I love that part of, my roots.
Yeah. Do you still have people there now?
Not a whole lot. Most of them are gone, but I do still have some, yeah.
Yeah. When's the last time you've been back home?
Too long. It's
really?
Been too long. Oh, yeah. I probably wouldn't even know Tyler.
Oh, wow.
No, that's how long it's been. And I hear that it's really developed and everything because it was a little small country town. But now they have, all kinds of stuff. They got 4 high schools, I heard now, instead of 2.
So it grew a little bit.
Yeah, it's growing.
Right. That's awesome. So I know, coming from Texas, you a little girl moving. You mentioned that you came out to California, Los Angeles area. Success for you did not happen overnight. I know that you can sing your face off.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you've been doing that since you were a little girl, and I would guess that comes from the church, right?
Yeah, my father was a preacher, so definitely I first started singing in the Easter programs in church when I was about 3. So that's where it all started.
Wow.
And then all through my, as I was growing up, going to school and stuff, the first thing I did was join orchestras and in elementary school, and I played the violin and I played the cello. And of course, my mother forced me to take piano lessons. It's something about Southern mothers. They want it, if you don't do anything else, they want you to learn how to play the piano. Yeah. So did that. And then through school, I found out that instruments were cool, but I got a bigger reception and a bigger reaction when I actually sang. And so that's what I was looking for. So it's like, let me, this was fun, but let me go ahead on and join the choir over here. So I joined the choir in all through school, elementary, junior high. They call it junior high back then. Now they call it middle school, huh? Yeah. They called it junior high back then. And Dorsey, I went to Dorsey. So just sang my way. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, in high school, formed my own bands and stuff, and we played locally around town.
Well,
So always been singing, always,
yeah.
always.
What was
Mhm.
your first remembrance of singing in front of an audience? Was it in a church or on
In
another?
church,
It was in the
in
church.
church, the Easter program. Yes, Jesus loves me.
That was your first solo?
Yeah, that was my first solo.
Wow.
Hmm.
I remember being like a little nervous as a little girl, or just went for it.
So little, didn't even know anything about being
Yeah,
nervous. Was just went for it and was happy to see that people were enjoying themselves,
yeah.
clapping and smiling, and all the attention was on me. So it was all good. It was all good. I said, I like this, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It hit a nerve.
Hmm. It sure did.
That's very cool. Then you mentioned you had started some local bands around middle school, high school. What was like some of the formation of the bands? Like was it men and women or women only? And was it like instrumental?
No, I was the woman, the lead singer, and
Okay,
with the guys.
okay,
Mhm.
okay. And
And that was in Dorsey, and we were called the New Perspectives.
okay, okay.
Hmm. And we played around town. We played Mavericks Flat,
Uh,
uh, and the Regency West. Way back in the day, used to be called the Checkmate. So we played there. All the little clubs around town and the school dances and stuff like that.
yeah, you mentioned some legendary little hangouts and clubs from back in the day that
Yeah,
we'll talk
yeah.
about that.
If you were a musician in Los Angeles doing anything back in the day, you had to go through Mavericks Flat. I mean, like you didn't have a choice.
Hmm.
Whatever it took to go play in Mavericks Flat.
Yeah, you had to go through there.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the word. I still hear that to this day, man. Yeah, that was the place to be back in the day.
it really was.
Yeah, yeah, I can
A lot
imagine.
of fun memories.
Yeah, that's so cool. Now you also your formation from the group that you're just talking about now. There is another group, Hot Chocolate. There was a birth of that which turned into Graham Central Station. Is that correct?
Right. That's
Yeah.
it did. So I was living up in Oakland with Larry, and he was still with Sly and Family Stone. And he would leave and go on the road and leave me at home a lot. And so that was starting to get old. And I told him, I need to have something to do. What can we do musically? And so he put the group together, all except for Butch. We needed an extra keyboard player. So I didn't call Butch at the time, not yet, not until we started to become Grand Central Station. So it was most of us except Butch and David. David was not in the group at that time, and Larry was not playing the bass. So we put together the whole aim was for Larry to produce a group and hopefully get us a record deal. So it was called Hot Choc'let at the time. So when he quit Sly and the Family Stone, he joined Hot Choc'let, and Hot Choc'let became Graham Central Station. And that iteration was Larry, Herschel, myself, Butch. I had called him by then, Neil Sean and Gregorico. Hmm. That
Wire.
was the first iteration.
And you guys did a lot of stuff because you guys were out in NorCal, the historic Northern Cal where Sly, Santana, the Escovedo,
Power, Power,
Power. I mean, it's just a
Doobie Brothers.
man, a melting pot of talent and soul, funk, R&B, jazz. I mean, salsa. I mean, you name it was coming from that area, and you guys
Yeah.
during that era are right dead smack in the middle of all that. And you guys all did some sessions uh, all over, and one of those sessions, I know you guys had a lot of involvement with a young lady that I'm very fond of still today, Miss Betty Davis.
Miss Betty Davis.
Yeah,
Yeah, that time was magical because, like you said, all that music was happening. Like the it was so heavy. The music was so heavy in the air until sometimes it would feel like dew. You know what I'm saying? Dropping on you, you know, and
Wow.
um, and there was not a lot of competition and all that. Everybody hung out with everybody else, went to their different sets and stuff, went to their different gigs, went to one another's houses and jammed all night. So it was truly a magical time. And Betty, her first album, she called Gregorico to produce her album. So she wanted it to be funky. So of course Greg knew all the funky people in the Bay Area. So he just, looked through his book and called his friends, and came in. And so Grand Central Station and some members of Santana, quite a few of us, um, played on the album and helped Greg and made that album what it was. And we did not only the tracks, but also the background vocals and stuff. I did a duet with Betty called Your Man, My Man on her album. So that was great. All of it was great. It was just a wonderful time as far as music goes, as far as the funk goes, as far as the vibe goes. It was a whole lifestyle. It was a whole culture. So, but you don't realize that while you're doing it and in
Yeah.
it, you just living life.
Doing what you love. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What was Miss Davis like? Well, I know a lot of stars, that, when they're on stage, they're a different person. The way you knew her, what was Miss Davis like personally? The way you knew
She definitely was a different person on stage than she was normally. She had this great big old persona on stage, this highly sexual thing going on stage, but off stage, she was funny, she was loud, you could hear her laughing like 2 blocks down, and she was a vegetarian, and she did not get high, she didn't smoke, and she didn't drink, and just a lot of fun and very focused. Knew exactly what she wanted to do as far as her music was concerned. Um, had been disillusioned uh, in her career earlier because dealing in a genre where where it's male dominated. A woman has to fight if she has clarity and knows it and is intentional about exactly what she wants to do. She has to fight to do exactly what she wants to do
right.
because men want her to do it their way. So she that's what she did. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. And whatever situation she went into, it was like, look, this is the way I want to do it. She was clear. Um, she couldn't play instruments and stuff like that, but she could hum. So she would hum each part of the instrument and stuff to Greg. And that wasn't hard for Greg he figured it out. And that's what I admired about her the most was the fact that she was so focused and intentional and knew exactly what she wanted to do. And she was a lot of fun and we had a good time.
Yeah, she's definitely way ahead of her time. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the queen right
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know that had to be out of this world to look back now and look back at those memories and realize that you guys were creating all that magic and all that funk, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So,
listen back to those records now, and I'm just like, man, you can't help but just let it just play. You don't even want to turn it off.
right.
Mhm.
Right. And the only thing I regret, one of my biggest regrets, is that we did not have cell phones back in those days. I was always that person with the camera, but I just miss so much. I never took a picture. Betty and I never took a picture together.
Yeah,
Stuff like that. I regret that kind of stuff. You can whip out your phone and video something right quick.
yeah,
Just missed out on all that. But I do have my memories,
yeah.
though.
You have it here. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Now you have a very interesting story. I know we touched on the baddest band from the east to the west, GCS. We touched a little bit on that, but you have an interesting story about actually meeting Mr. Graham. Talk a little bit about finally just coming in contact with him for the first time.
Okay. Well, the very first time I heard Sly and Family Stone on the radio, I was like, dumbfounded almost, you know what I'm saying? Because I had never heard music like that before. I didn't know what it was. All I could do was just sit down until it was on the radio, until after the song played, so that I could hear what the DJ would tell me who was this group. So the DJ said it was Sly and the Family Stone and said the music was funk. So that's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
A light came on that lit up my path to my destiny right there. You know what I'm saying? So I was the biggest Sly and the Family Stone fan. I ran out and got all their stuff, all their albums, you know, some of his first, second, and third album, all the very beginning ones. And so I was just, you know, I was just baptized. So Dick Griffey was my manager. So he was promoting a gig at the Forum in Los Angeles, and Sly and the Family Stone were the special guests. The Young Rascals were the headliners. And so I asked Dick if he would please put the New Perspectives on the show if we could open, and he did. And so that's the reason why I got a chance to meet Larry, because after the show, I begged Dick, please, you just have to introduce me to as many of these people as I could meet. Plus, I was also very, very just in awe of Cynthia and Rose, because I had never seen females play a part in a band the way they did. They didn't just stand up there and sing and play the tambourine. Cynthia could play the heck out of that horn, and Rose, you know, was so soulful. Her voice was so soulful. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be like them. Yeah. So I got to meet just about everybody, including Larry. So they were walking out, you know, leaving. So I thought that was it. And I was kind of sad, but then I was glad too, because I got a chance to meet my heroes, you know what I'm saying? So I went to go out because I had to wait till the show was over because I rode with Dick. So I was out looking at the Young Rascals, and I felt, you know, this warmth on the back of my neck. So I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't. So I finally turned around, and it was Larry. And so he eased up, you know, behind me, and asked me if I wanted to go to an after party with him. And one of the hardest things I've ever done at that young age was say no. I had to say no because, you know, I came with Dick, so I was going to live with him. So he asked for my number, and I gave it to him. I wasn't expecting to hear from him because I said no. So, but he did. He called me that night. And so the rest is sort of history. Shortly after that, maybe about 6 months after that, I moved to Oakland.
Now, did you guys already perform your set before Larry saw you?
Yeah, because we were the very first. We were the openers.
Okay, mm-hmm. so he actually heard you perform, and
I don't think they were there then at that point. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So your entry into GCS, of course, you not only just sang, but you also are the queen of the funk box. Talk a little bit about the funk box and the GCS crew.
Well, I wanted to play an instrument like Rose and Cynthia. Mm-hmm. So I told Larry, I said, what can I play? Because I could play the keyboards a little bit, but it wasn't, you know, we had 2 keyboard players. Wasn't really interested in that. And so he came up with the idea for me to play the Rhythm King drum machine, and we named it the Funk Box. And, you know, it has preset rhythms, and it has buttons that you play manually. So that's what I did. I played the buttons of all the sounds of percussion and drums.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it made me feel a part of the creation of, you know, the actual fabric of the music, and that's what I wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely own that, you know, the combination of doing, you know, the singing and playing that box. It was definitely an asset to the band, definitely.
Thank you. And that was the first time that had ever happened too. So I didn't realize that till somebody asked me, do you know that you're the first? And it's like, yeah, I guess I was. I guess I was the first person to do something like that. But I just wanted to be a part of the funk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You all had some had a reputation back then for like just kicking ass out there, like taking no prisoners. I mean, I unfortunately I was too young, you know, but the stories I hear, about Grand Central Station on stage was "Beware." How true is that?
That's very true.
I
That's
didn't heard some
very true.
stories there.
We were hard to follow. You know, when we first came out, we were open enough for everybody.
Yeah,
So we were hard to follow because I think that was also one of the first times that a bass player had actually been the center of a group, you know, the leader, you
yeah.
know, and all the momentum was coming from him.
Mhm.
So um, so much energy. And Larry played loud.
Yeah.
And, and you know, and he was just, you know, he created his own way to play the bass. And so he was just, the funk was just undeniable. And so the energy, you know, was like you just go into another zone. So it was hard for people to follow the energy that we brought, basically. That's what it basically was, because you know the crowd, they would, of course, they would be right there in the zone with us. And I just loved it because, you know, back in the day, especially back east, New York, Philly, and like that, people would bring percussion instruments. They bring tambourines, cowbells, whistles, all that to the gig, right? So I'm talking about the audience. So as we would play, they would be, I don't know if you can imagine hundreds of people with percussion instruments playing with us. You would just, it'd be something that you'd have to try to imagine, but you really couldn't. But I'm gonna tell you, they know how to party. They knew how to party back then in those days. And so the level that it went to, as far as the energy goes, like one time we were playing in DC somewhere, I forget, my friend Stozo knows, but we were playing DC, and some of the plaster came out the ceiling.
That's what I'm saying.
That was so much fun. That was so much fun. So, you know,
Nobody was hurt in that process, though, right?
no. It didn't
Okay.
come down in big chunks. So
Okay, well,
nobody was
that's
hurt.
fun. Though. As long as nobody was hurt, yeah, it
Yeah,
was
nobody was hurt.
fun with a cat.
But you know, Larry was so, he was so powerful, and like I said, he was so loud, had so much equipment until everything just would shake almost.
Damn.
I don't even know how I can hear today.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the I know you mentioned that gig. I was going to ask you, do you remember like one of your favorite gigs? Would that happen to be one of them? The plaster coming off the wall?
That's one of them. That's
Yeah,
one of them. And another one, so many.
yeah.
But another one that stands out in my memory is, again, in Washington, D.C., I think it was in the Capitol Center. Sly was supposed to come, and we were going to be on the same bill, going to be Sly and the Family Stone at Grand Central Station.
Mm.
When I tell you how I was looking so forward to that gig, just like I could not wait,
Oh,
because
man.
as far as I was concerned, it was going to be like a boxing match. You know, I wanted to see, you know, if it was going to be a TKO, a
Yeah.
knockout, or what was it going to be? So Sly didn't show up that night, so I didn't get a chance to see. But we killed anyway. But you know that I will always remember that.
I bet everybody that would have attended would have remembered that one. That was going to be hot.
Well, you know, people were, you know, it was packed in there. It was
I
packed. It
bet.
was a big old place. I want to almost say the Capitol Center, I think. So it was a big place. And so when Sly didn't show up, the promoters, they offered people, you know, refunds on their tickets and stuff, but hardly anybody left.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Mm-hmm.
do you remember specifically any particular concerts back then where you guys whooped somebody's ass on concert? Like,
Well, if I'm going to be, you want me to be perfectly honest, right?
as honest as you want to be.
Well, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, we did a tour with the Ohio Players that lasted maybe about 3 months, maybe. And it was kind of contentious because every night, I mean, every night, because we were you know, we opened up for them. They were the headliners. So every night we killed them. I don't know if that was a good combination for a tour or not, you know, because the energy was too much for the Ohio players, and so
It had to be.
um, so it got contentious toward the end because you know their feelings got hurt from time to time, but they took a spanking for about 3 months.
You remember what era, what album did you guys have out at this time?
Let me see. That
The
was
year?
probably the second one.
Okay. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
wow. Yeah.
Because we were still opening up for people at that time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Hurt.
Yeah, but it was a good tour, though. It was a really good tour.
Yeah.
We went places that I had never been before, so it was good.
I wish we could do stuff like that, like now, like when you mentioned like all the people bringing percussions and tambourines to the concert, like now you can't even go into a concert with an ink pen now. It's just so weird. You can't do that.
Okay.
It's insane, man. That just
Yeah.
the
I
audience
know
brings
it's
that
changed.
vibe
Things
to
have
you.
changed. Things have changed.
Yeah,
But then the music has changed. Like today, what concert would you go to that you would bring, that you would
yeah,
bring percussion instruments? Well, which one would you go to? I
yeah.
can't think of one right offhand unless it would be, a true school act.
Right.
But that kind of energy is hard to find these days. But one concert that I did go to that I must admit that I had a really good time and the energy was cool was Bruno Mars.
Okay. Okay.
He keeps the energy up and he keeps the people partying and having fun the whole time. So that was
Okay.
a good one.
Was that in Vegas?
No, that was like when he first came out. That was about 4 years ago, something like
Okay.
that.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have a favorite album out of the Graham Central Station catalog that you guys did?
Mm-hmm. The first one is my favorite one because
Yeah.
we had worked on those songs so hard and for so long and rehearsed them until they were so tight until when we finally did the album, um, even the album could not capture the energy because we had been playing the songs for so long.
Mm.
The album couldn't capture the energy, but still it was almost like, it's almost like having a baby. I felt like that was like a first child situation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, because we worked so hard. I mean, Graham, when we would rehearse, we rehearsed every day, all the time, all the time. We rehearsed all the time.
Yeah.
Those songs that were on that first album. So just precious memories, all the hard work, the sweat and the tears that went into it,
Yeah.
that was my favorite one.
Yeah. In Grand Central Station albums at that time, there was a couple of trends running throughout those albums. One for you, um, you always had your standout cut, and usually it would be a cover. Talk a
Right.
little bit about how did you guys choose what songs you would cover, for yourself.
Just something we like when I did I Can't Stand the Rain is because Larry would ask me, so what song do you want to do? And that was the one that I liked at the time. I love that song, Can't Stand the
Yeah,
Rain. So we would get to pick. I could choose which songs I wanted to sing as far as covers go. Like when we first started out, we used to do like Eleanor Rigby and Get It Together, Leave It Alone, Love and Happiness. Did a lot of Al Green. So we did a lot of covers when we first started too.
yeah, I love that Love and Happiness jam. That's the joint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's very cool. And one of the other running themes throughout the Graham Central Station catalog too is also religion in a lot of cases. With Larry Graham, it's well known that Jehovah's Witness, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But very early on, there was a trend of him including an inspirational, if you want to call it inspirational, or um, religious song, if you want to call it that. Talk a little bit about how you guys approach doing that each and every project, including, the religion terms and that so forth.
Well, we always wanted to do inspirational song. I guess you would call it inspirational songs. You want to put positivity out there in your messages as much as possible. But we concentrated the first couple of albums. We concentrated on the funk aspect of it. But when Larry became a Jehovah's Witness, then our music just followed. Like when he first became one, then there was a little bit of it because it kind of turned religious. There was a little bit, but as he got deeper and deeper into it, then the albums got more and more religious. And so by the time Mirror came along, it was practically the whole album was, I'll just say, religious, practically. And that was all right. But the thing about it is, being a Jehovah's Witness is what Larry wanted to be. So that was his direction. But that was not everybody in the group's direction. Everybody didn't want to be. It was starting to feel like we were a part of a religious funk band, and that's not what we signed up for. So that was really the beginning of the demise of the original group.
Yeah, and you were one of the first to kind of leave right after the Mirror album, correct?
No, actually, Willie left first. The drummer, Willie Wild, he left
okay.
first. That was on the second album. He left first, and then I left. Yeah, after Mirror.
Oh, okay. But that didn't stop you because you actually did some session work with some very talented people, Stephanie Mills, Chaka Khan, and then you embark on a solo venture there, which is a very good album, which I really love that. Talk a little bit about doing some session work, and then developing your album in the late 70s.
Well, when I first left Graham Central Station, I was like, it's not going to take me any time to get a solo album, because as soon as the world finds out that I left Graham Central Station, they're going to come beating down my door. I'm going to get a record deal like that. It's going to be all good. But it did not happen that way. So, but I still had to work because I had a baby. Yeah. So I just started, doing a lot of session work, started going out on the road with different people, like you said, Chaka, Stephanie, B.B. King, Gary Bartz, so many of them. I can't even think of all of them right now. Yeah. So between doing that and going out on the road and doing recording sessions, did a lot of work, background sessions for a lot of different people. So finally, I got a call from a record company that was interested in doing a record deal. So went to New York. This was a company out of New York called T Electric, Jim Terrell and Cheryl Terrell, and they were brand new company. And so it was wonderful. I went to New York. I got a chance to record in New York with all the best New York musicians, Marcus Miller, all of them, all the best, Greg Fillingangs, all of them. However, the thing that was not good about it was that the record company had a vision for the direction they wanted me to go in. And it didn't have anything really to do with funk. There's no funk on that album.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that at all, but I figured, well, that's fine. I'll do it this time on the first album. And there's going to be a hit. It's got to be a hit. So one of these songs has to make some noise. And then on the second album, I get to do what I want to do, right? So that was my plan. But as soon as the album was finished and before it could even be released really good, the company went bankrupt. So that was the end of that. But, the experience was good and I learned a lot.
And the name of the album is She's Back and Ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I had also my good friend Tawatha, that we went, Tawatha AG, we went on the road with Stephanie. She's in Mtume. Of course, you know who she is, right? Yes. Sang that song that everybody and their mama has sampled for the past 30 years. Juicy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she was on the album with me doing all the songs too. So it was a good experience. It was a learning experience, and I had a good time.
That's dope. I love it. I love it. Even though your plan didn't work out for the second album, you also kept continuing on and working with very, very, very famous and talented artists. You go on to work with Dr. Dre at some point later on down the line too, as well. Correct?
Right. Uh-huh. So I met Dr. Dre. I didn't even know who he was. The person that called me in on the gig is another girlfriend of mine. She said this rapper guy is doing this song and he wants some funk, and do you want to come do it? She was doing it. I said, yeah, sure. Come on, let's go. The only thing about it is it was in Compton. And so that part, it was like, oh, it's in Compton. Okay, well, okay. So, because I didn't know anything about Compton. So, but anyway, I went. And so it was Dre. And he was producing an album for a guy named Jimmy Z, who played the flute. And so Jimmy was throwing some funk in his this CD he was doing called The Funky Flute. And it was nice. It was really nice. And the songs that I did sing on, they were funky. And so that's how I met Dre. And then while I was doing the songs, because I did almost the whole CD. So one day, Kenny Copeland and Henry Garner from Rose Royce, they walked in because Dre and Rose Royce had the same manager at the time. So Kenny was trying to, get Dre to work with Rose Royce. That's what he was trying to do. So he would come there from time to time. So he came up there and I was there and he heard me singing. And so after it was over with, he stayed until I finished the song I was singing. And he told me who he was and said they were looking for somebody, took my number, I took his. And so eventually that's how I ended up with Rose Royce. I was with them for about 5 years.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you look back at events that happen in your life, when you see how things just unfold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This girl asked me to do a session. I went and did the session, met Dre, there he was. Rose Royce walked in, there I was. Boom, I'm singing with Rose Royce.
Yeah.
So
Then 5 years.
Just to see things unfold like that, there's always a plan, some kind of plan.
Yeah, you just never know.
You never know. You never know why something is happening to you or not happening for you. You never know. But it's, most of the time, a part of a plan.
Yeah. And the plan is already written. We just don't know it.
Exactly.
We just follow the path.
When you look back on it, then that's when you know.
Yeah, like,
say,
damn.
So that's what, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Now I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you end up going out with Rose Royce for 5 years, and you guys tour all around the world. And Rose Royce, they're known for some major hits. I like them a lot too. But Gwen Dickey, I know she was the original lead singer, and then they had a couple of other lead singers after that. Talk about
they have had a gang of lead singers.
Yeah, talk about your place and how you made Choc'let stand out in Rose Royce. How did you approach going?
Right. Well, the good part about being a part of Rose Royce is that, the girl, I had a chance to be the center of, attraction at that point, because the girl, of course, sang almost all the hit records, right?
Yeah.
So that gave me a chance to stretch as far as my chops went, because now everything is on me. You know what I'm saying? So I had to step up. And so I had to learn a whole nother way of dealing with the audience and interacting and learning how to present a song and tell a story. Because in Graham Central Station, all I was doing was funking it up, really. That's all I was doing.
Throwing down.
But in Rose Royce, I had to learn how to tell a story and get it across, because they had hit after hit after hit after hit, and all of their songs were stories, beautiful stories. So I was able to stretch, and that was a good thing. It was a good learning experience for me.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of stretch, you actually stretched out into a whole nother career. You're also an author.
Right.
of some amazing books. One of your books, Deja Vu, Memoirs of a Funk Queen. Uh, a hell of a book. If you guys have not gotten that book, please get it. Talk a little bit about finally sitting down to actually lay that pen to paper and come up with this book.
Okay, well, that's Deja Vu, Memoirs of a Funk Diva. That's what that
Oh,
is.
Diva. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Funk Diva, no problem. So I have always written, always. I have my diaries and stuff from when I was in elementary school. So I've always been that little girl that wrote poetry and songs and all of that. So with Graham Central Station and just my career period, I just had a lot to say about being a female. First of all, about being in a relationship with Larry. First of all, before Graham Central Station, like how I got there, right?
Yeah.
Which was interesting, because Dick Griffey was my manager and how that all came about. And then being in Graham Central Station, that had its highs and lows. It was trauma and joy and pain and
Yeah.
success, and then afterwards the grind of starting all over again. So the story was inside of me, and so it wouldn't let me rest. When you have something inside of your spirit, a song, a story, or if you just got something to say to somebody that you've been wanting to say for a long time, you can't really rest until you get it out. they
Yeah.
they have to know what you want to tell them, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what finally happened. It's like now I have to write this book because now it's bugging me. Now it's bugging me. So I wrote. So that's how the book finally got written, and it was very therapeutic. And it's a good book because I'm candid and I don't tell quite everything, but when you read it, you will read some stuff that you didn't know. So and it'll be hard to put down.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was my aim because I was trying to make people a part of my experience and
Yeah.
share my emotions.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely takes you down that rabbit hole, and yeah, it's a hell of a read.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now I haven't had the chance to read your other books, but you do have a couple of other books, which are a little bit of a different turn than your personal book. They're The Secret Sacrifice and The Chocolate State of Mind.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about developing those books there.
Well, the Chocolate State of Mind, that was my first book, and I just wanted to like stick my toe in the water and just see um, if I really thought I could do this or not. So
Yeah.
that was my first effort. So that book is poems and short stories. So a lot of poetry and three short stories, and then so after I wrote that book, it was like, okay, I could do this because I self-published. So it's like, okay, this wasn't bad. I can do this. So that got me started.
Yeah.
Then I wrote Deja Vu, and then I wrote Secret Sacrifice. And Secret Sacrifice is about my journey through abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, molestation, all that. Every woman has a story. Every woman has a story. So this was my story uh, to add to that, to just inspire women to always know that that they are not alone. Like every woman I have met, practically, they all have a story about darkness in their life at
Yeah.
some point. So it's important to me to just join that force so that women can, uh, unite and know that they have support.
Aren't you involved in some foundations for women too as well?
No, no, not right now.
No, okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that you were. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love that because you're covering all aspects of life, basically.
Yeah,
And it's reality. It's things that that people out there are dealing with.
exactly.
And they need they need to read and see that other
Because it can happen to anybody.
other people are dealing with the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. It's not just them, and you can see how other people can handle it or take care of it or just give you some peace of mind by reading somebody else's experience or word.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. And you have also an interesting uh, tour when you go out, because I have had the opportunity of seeing you live, and when you go to in concert, I saw you at the Catalina Jazz Club, and when you do your concert, you actually take the audience on a trip through the various stages of you growing up, and you sing very many hits. I think you sang some Supremes, Diana Ross stuff, and you sang
I
some
did some Motown stuff. Yeah, I
Motown
did the
stuff. Yeah,
yeah, some was Smokey and Marvin Gaye and
yeah. You
Brenda
just
Holloway.
Yeah, you touched on so much, and talk a little bit about developing your stage show and incorporating your childhood and the music stages through your life. How did you develop that idea?
Well, you have it right because so much music in your lifetime, you're exposed to so much music. I didn't even go all the way back to the very first music I heard was from Mahalia Jackson. I didn't take you guys through Mahalia Jackson and wait a minute, and Elvis Presley, because you ain't nothing but a hound dog, boy. That used to be my jam. I didn't take you all the way back, but I just wanted to, just like you said, just like a musical journey through my life, like what it influenced me, from the very beginning all the way up to what I'm doing now. Just fun, and people like that. They like to be taken on those trips like that because they there's nothing like music that can take you back to a specific place and a specific time. And so people had a lot of good memories back there in those days and times. So they like to, that music makes them feel good.
Yeah, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And you put on a hell of a performance when you do those songs. How do you narrow it down? I know you mentioned the Elvis Presley, but how do you? I know it's so much because I think about my childhood. I think about all the music that I just love.
And what songs you would pick, huh?
Yeah, I just don't think I could narrow it down to like a handful. How do you do that? How do you pick and choose?
It's hard. I was
Yeah,
picking and choosing up until the day before the gig. It's hard to do.
yeah,
But then I just do another gig and do the ones that I didn't do that time, because it's just so many of them, so many.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I would say I was probably about 4 or 5. Um, I'll be honest with you, Sly and the Family Stone, that was actually the first album that I ever owned, and it was Stan.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but I did not have the cover. My father gave me the record, but I just had the record.
Right.
So I never saw for years and years and years. I played the record, Sex Machine, uh, don't call me Whitey nigga, all that stuff. I was playing it
Right.
about 4 or 5, 6, 7 years old. I never saw the band, but I love that record. And then until it
You
was,
mean to tell me, wait a minute, hold it. You mean to tell me you were listening to Sly and Family Stone at 4 years old?
yeah, yeah,
You got a serious head start, didn't you?
yeah, yeah. And my favorite album growing up was There's a Riot Going On, because my mother played that album religiously when I was growing up. But Stan,
Okay.
but that There's a Riot Going On. That was when I finally seen their faces, because remember how that album looked when you opened
Yeah.
it up, and it had all of them in concert. Freddie
Right.
Rose and all that. So that's when I finally seen their faces. But for years and years as a kid, I played Stan, and I did not know how they looked.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And on There's a Riot Going on the back of the cover where there's that collage,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in that. I'm on that.
Really?
There is a little bitty picture of me. I'm in yellow, sitting on top
Okay.
of the car, like down towards the right center.
Okay. I still have the vinyl. I'm gonna have to take a
Yeah,
look.
find me. I'm on that album.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's still one of my favorite. As badly mixed that album
Mm-hmm.
it's still one of my favorites to this day.
Yeah, well, you know how that was. It was lucky to even come out. And
Yeah.
Sly is his book is about to come out. So
Yeah.
they
I
have
saw that.
every time I'm online, something pops up about Sly now. So he's back out there in the forefront.
Yeah. I saw that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely gonna be grabbing that and reading it too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely for
I
sure.
like the fact that you still read. Do you know how many people don't read
I
anymore?
know. I know.
Oh my God.
I got tons of books here. I got I Rick James, Fred Wesley,
Me
Marvin
too.
Gaye.
Me too.
Yeah, I got a ton
Mm-hmm.
of books here. I just
Mm-hmm.
when I go and get them, and sometimes I even go to get them signed from the people, and I take them home and I read them. So
Right,
yeah,
right. And that's wonderful. I want you to keep that up, okay? Somebody
I
needs to
will.
read books.
Yes,
Because reading a book on a what they call them Kindles, how they have
yeah,
books. What kind of fun is that? You got to hold a book in your hand.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
interesting enough, I was just talking to my aunt yesterday, and she reminded me that when I started at that young stage, about 3 4 years old, I started reading because of record albums. I didn't read books; I read the albums, and that's how I learned to read. So when I talked to her last, night, she said, "Remember you used to read those albums to your mama?" And I was like, "Yeah, I remember."
Wow.
So
I
that's how
think
I
that
started reading.
I think that's awesome. You've been doing music practically all your
Yeah,
life.
basically, yeah, reading music
Okay.
records. Yeah.
Good. That's good.
hmm Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so when can we expect another tour from Miss Choc'let?
Um, Another gig, I don't know. Well, I actually this summer in August, my brother and I, we put together this funk fest in Oakland. It was called Return of the Funk to Oakland. So we had everything all set up. I had because what I wanted to do was there was a time like we discussed earlier, where the Bay Area was just full of funk everywhere you look,
Yeah,
everywhere. So, but right now, like in Oakland, because that's where it all started for me in Oakland. But right now in Oakland, you are hard pressed to find like a live black band playing anywhere in Oakland, let alone funk music. You know what I'm saying? It's just devoid of funk. So I said, well, this is not acceptable. So I had this opportunity that fell in my lap. And so I was going to do a funk festival. So we got it together. I wanted all the musicians to be from Oakland. So I had this brother, Eric E.Q. Young, him, and I had Larry's band. So I had Graham Central Station, and then I was going to sing with them. And then I had Jerry Martini. He was going to come and be a surprise guest.
wow.
And then I had the group called the Funkanauts, which my cousin is in the Funkanauts, and then this young lady named Femi. I hope I'm getting everybody. So I had everything all set up to Funk Oakland all the way up. I was ready. Everything was set. But then the ticket sales were slow, like slow, like 3 weeks out, they were still slow. And people kept telling me, don't worry, because people wait till the last minute to buy tickets. I'm like, to me, 3 weeks is the last minute. So what I did was I had to shut it down. So I was disappointed because I thought that people were thinking like I was thinking. I thought that they missed the funk in Oakland
Yeah,
so much until an opportunity to come and see your own homegrown grown Oakland Funketeers. Like I thought they'd be breaking down the doors to get tickets to
yeah,
that, but they weren't. So I was ready, but Oakland wasn't ready. But I'm not giving up. I'm gonna try it again. And this was this past Oakland, this past summer in
yeah,
August.
yeah.
So this is the first time I've talked about it because I didn't even go online and say anything about the fact that it didn't happen. I had to postpone it, but I was disappointed. But I haven't given up because I believe that I'll just do it a little different the next time. I'll do it where people will have more time since it takes people so long to buy tickets. I'll do it further out so I'll
Yeah.
have people have more time to buy tickets and stuff. But that was the project I was working on this summer. I was very excited. It was a lot of fun, a lot of energy. My brother Ron Reams, he and I mean, we put this thing together and we were ready. So
Yeah,
that happened, but I'm not discouraged.
yeah. Do you think it was just
Mhm.
timing, like the time of the year? You think, or
No, because it was in August. It was the
yeah,
summertime. Yeah, so I don't think
yeah,
it was the timing. I don't think it was the location because it was in real pretty amphitheater in Oakland called Woodminster, which
Yeah.
is located in a park. So I think that Oakland wasn't ready. That's what I
Okay.
really do think. I just think they weren't ready. And plus, another thing too, I had heard was that, Oakland had changed from the Oakland that I knew it to be, like as far as the whole the dynamic of who's there, who's left in Oakland now,
Oh
and
yeah.
the crime and the blah 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 blah. But I didn't listen to that because I was like, funk will overcome all of that.
Yeah.
You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? The
Funk
people will come
prevail.
out.
Yeah.
The people will come out. Um, and not saying that they wouldn't have come out, but just saying that I didn't have time to wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a good experience for me too. What I do, whatever I'm doing, however it turns out, I always consider, okay, what lesson was I supposed to learn out of this? So, like I said, it's postponed, but we're going to do it again.
Yeah. You think you can probably bring that to LA maybe?
Well, you know what? Oh, LA is not really a big funk town from what I can see. They're not really, then they never have been really.
Yeah.
They're not any really huge funk groups that have come out of LA. Now, different bands have come from different parts of the country to LA, Lakeside, Gap Band, all that.
True
But as
enough.
far as organically, there hasn't been a lot of funk coming out of LA like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how, because when I say funk, I mean funk. I don't mean go to a funk festival and you get there and they're playing everything but funk. Tired of that. I'm so tired of that. So that's not what I'm talking about.
You know about throwing down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So I'm
already
gonna
know.
try it back up in the Bay Area again because that was
Yeah.
a big pocket of where the funk came from. And I think, and I named it Return of the Funk because I wanted to come back,
Yeah.
where it, belongs.
Yeah. To its
So,
roots. Yeah.
so that took up a lot of my summer. So I was doing that, real busy doing that. So, but I like to do at least one big gig for me,
Yeah.
at least once a year, So I was planning on going back to Catalina. Just haven't gotten the date yet. They got a couple of things coming up that I'm going to attend. I like that little club. It's a nice little club.
It
It's
is. Yes.
intimate. The sound is good.
Yes.
I like it.
Absolutely. I frequent that club quite often when I find certain people that I like performing there. I go there quite a bit. Yeah. So besides, I know besides the tour, I hope that is successful the next go around.
Thank you.
If that
Thank you.
happens, what's next on the agenda for you in the near future?
Well, I have a 92-year-old mother that
Oh, that's a blessing.
I consider a blessing to be
Yes.
able to take care of. So I spend a lot of my time taking care of my mother, making sure she is all right.
That's good.
So I stay busy doing that. So between that and this music, because music will always be a part of who I am. So between that and the music and my grandkids, I stay pretty busy.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
do me and do us a favor. Don't make us wait too long for the funk. And I'm talking about the FONK as you
FONK,
say.
baby. I heard that.
Don't make
I
us wait
heard
too
that.
long, Chocolate. We waiting on you.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna get out there as soon as I possibly can.
For
And I
sure.
know I'll be looking for your face
Okay.
first
Yeah.
and foremost. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be in the place. No doubt.
Okay.
Well, Miss Chocolate, it's so exciting to have you back and honored to talk to you. And before we depart, if you don't mind, just letting the people know if you have any social handles, Instagram, Facebook, or any handles that you would like for them to find you or your music.
Okay. Well, I have a website, One Stop Funk Shop, where you can get the number one Stop Funk Shop, where you could get my books. And also I have a t-shirt line that I do with Stozo. You know Stozo, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a t-shirt line that I do with him and very funky t-shirts.
All right.
So, and then I'm on Facebook and then Instagram, the Choc'let one, the _Choc'let_1.
You heard it first here from the queen herself, queen of the funk box, Miss Choc'let from Grand Central Station. Thank you so much. Honored to have you here.
Thank you.
The Digital Soul Presents. Hope to have you back soon again.
And I'm tell you what, may the funk continue to be with you, okay?
And also with you, my sister.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.